Certain areas of the world are infamous for unusual and unexplained disappearances. These places are often surrounded by mythology and speculation dating back centuries, with countless theories to explain the disappearances. Most of us have heard of the Bermuda Triangle, a geographic region in the North Atlantic Ocean where ships and aircrafts are known to frequently and mysteriously vanish. Lesser known, but actually much deadlier, is the Nevada Triangle, located in the heart of the US, where over 2,000 airplanes have disappeared or crashed. What is up, EWU crew? Today, we're going to be covering the legendary Nevada Triangle, known as a trap in the mountains and a graveyard for planes. We will be talking about some of the most famous and mysterious cases of vanishings. If you enjoy true crime, mysteries, and true stories, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Now, let's get into it. Born in Jackson, Tennessee on April 22, 1944, James Stephen Fawcett seemed destined for great things. The sprightly and energetic young boy grew up climbing the towering mountains of California, spending all day under the scorching hot sun. By his 13th birthday, he had already earned the Eagle Scout accolade, the highest rank that can be achieved in the Boy Scouts of America. Later years would see him serving as Lodge Chief of the Order of the Arrow, the Honor Society of the Boy Scouts, and working as a ranger at the Philmont Scout Ranch in New Mexico during the summer of 1961. Stephen's adventurous nature followed him all the way to Stanford University, where his Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity brothers convinced him to swim all the way to Alcatraz, closed 2 years before, just to raise a banner on the walls of the former prison. While he did manage to reach the notorious island, fighting through notoriously rough and freezing waters, Stephen's efforts proved to be futile after he was thwarted by an overzealous security guard. The summer after graduation was meant to be his final bout of adventure, where Stephen spent months climbing mountains in Europe and swimming the Dardanelles before flying back stateside and working at a wide range of jobs, including at IBM, Deloitte & Touche, and Marshall Fields. By the early 1980s, though, Stephen was sick of working for somebody else. He quickly discovered that he had a talent for renting exchange memberships to would-be floor traders, which he managed to leverage into launching his own firms, Marathon Securities and Lakota Trading. Both companies worked to rent exchange memberships, transforming Stephen into a millionaire practically overnight. The fast-paced environment and the industry's high risks appealed to his sense of adventure, allowing him to thrive in a business landscape that had seen many others before him crash and burn. Besides being an incredibly successful American businessman, Stephen, affectionately known as Steve by everyone, was also renowned for his whole slew of world records that saw him going off on adventure in balloons, sailboats, gliders, and powered aircraft. He was an excellent aviator, boasting of skills and experiences that no one else had or would ever have. In fact, in 2002, Steve became the first person to complete an uninterrupted and unrefueled solo circumnavigation in the world. An incredible feat that skyrocketed his fame. That year, he received aviation's highest award, the Gold Medal of the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale, FIA, and 5 years later was inducted into the Aviation Hall of Fame. A decade prior to that, he had already been included in the Balloon and Airship Hall of Fame, thanks to his being the first person who flew non-stop around the planet in a hot air balloon all by himself, among other impressive achievements. But on the morning of September 3rd, 2007, Steve's phenomenal and exciting life was unexpectedly cut short. That day, he had taken off in a single-engine super decathlon light aircraft from a private airstrip near Smith Valley, Nevada. He had only given it enough fuel to last between 4 to 5 hours. As an accomplished pilot, the flight should have been routine. Yet, 6 hours later, with neither sign nor peep from him, search parties were launched. His plane's emergency locator transmitter, or ELT, wasn't emitting any signal, which many took as a sign that he had not been in a crash. No traces of wreckage were found in the following days, and even the Civil Air Patrol's top-of-the-line Archer scanning system was returning absolutely nothing. The search for James Stephen Fawcett became the largest, most complex peacetime search for a single human being in the entire history of the United States, gaining interest in the public eye and raising Steve to an almost celebrity status. And they had nothing to show for it. After a month of searching on October 2nd, the operations to find Steve were officially called off. A year later, Steve's crash site was finally found, situated approximately 65 miles from where he had originally taken off. At the site, 2 bones were uncovered and proven to be his, seemingly ending the mystery of the legendary disappearance of one of the most recognizable men in the world. Shortly after the crash site was discovered, another, more intriguing mystery rose. Investigators, as well as the general public, were largely confused as to how exactly the aircraft had crashed. There was no evidence of any type of equipment malfunction, and to say that Steve was an experienced pilot would have been a massive understatement. So, how could Steve have possibly crashed? For thousands of people across the globe, there was a ready answer. The only thing that could have caused Steve's tragic and unexplainable death was the fact that he had vanished in the Nevada Triangle. The Atlantic Ocean has the Bermuda Triangle, a treacherous stretch of water where for centuries ships, planes, and passengers have mysteriously vanished without a trace. But the United States has its very own version, and deadlier version too. A 25,000 square mile area known as the Nevada Triangle. Nestled in the Sierra Nevada region, the Nevada Triangle reaches from the cities of Reno to Las Vegas in Nevada to Fresno, California. Located within the triangle are Yosemite, Kings Canyon, and Sequoia National Parks, as well as the notable Area 51 government facility, which only serves to heighten the mystery of the region further. Oftentimes called the graveyard for planes, the past 6 decades have seen more than 2,000 aircrafts mysteriously disappear, seemingly without cause, while flying over this area. And because it occupies a huge swath of desert and features the exceptionally high peaks of the Sierra Nevada mountain range, many of these crash sites and wreckages have never been found. Steve Fawcett's disappearance and crash is largely considered to be the most notable victim of the Nevada Triangle. However, it's safe to say that the history of the United States is littered with fascinating and downright terrifying stories of others who vanished while flying over the region. One of the very first mystifying incidents of a plane vanishing, seemingly swallowed up whole by the Nevada Triangle, involved a World War II B24 Bomber on a routine night training mission from Fresno to Bakersfield, California, to Tucson and back. Taking flight on December 5, 1943, the aircraft was piloted by Second Lieutenant Wills Turvey, along with his co-pilot, Second Lieutenant Robert M. Hester. It also carried 4 other crew members, Second Lieutenant William Thomas Cronin as the navigator, Second Lieutenant Ellis H. Fish as the bombardier, Sergeant Robert Bursey as the engineer, and Sergeant Howard A. Wantke as radio operator. This plane, manned by some of the country's most skilled and most experienced pilots at the time, crashed just a few hours into the flight. The following day, 9 other B24 bombers were dispatched on a rescue mission, and one of these crafts went missing as well. The remains of this missing rescue plane, along with the bodies of Squadron Commander Captain William Darden and his crew, would only be uncovered decades later, in 1955, when the Huntington Lake Reservoir was drained so repairs could be made to the dam. Every single passenger inside was found to still be at their stations. Meanwhile, the plane that they had originally been looking for, the one piloted by Turvey and Hester, was finally found in July 1960 by researchers with the United States Geological Survey, who had been working in a remote section of the High Sierra, situated west of LeConte Canyon in Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks. The wreckage was scattered along the shores of an unnamed body of water, which we now know today as Hester Lake. Yet another military plane vanished without a trace on May 9, 1957. This time, it was a T33 Training Jet piloted by Air Force Lieutenant David Steeves, who had taken off from the Hamilton Air Force Base near San Francisco, destined for Arizona. When the jet disappeared, the 23-year-old pilot was initially declared dead after multiple search parties turned up nothing. However, nearly 2 months later, he miraculously reappeared alive. Dressed in filthy and tattered clothing, Steeves had managed to make his way to a backcountry camp in Kings Canyon National Park. The shocking turn of events that he described captivated the nation. According to Steeves, he had managed to eject himself from the plane after it exploded, but had injured both of his ankles in a poor landing. He then crawled for over 20 miles in the freezing temperatures at a 12,000 feet elevation, with only his parachute to keep him warm. 15 days later, he fortunately came across an abandoned National Park Service cabin, where he managed to find a few cans of food and fishing equipment. Over the next few weeks, he survived by fishing and killing deer with his pistol and eventually made his way back to civilization with the help of a pack train guide who graciously allowed him to ride his horse. This story may have been daring and courageous, exactly the heartwarming account that would have made waves in the international media today. However, many Americans treated it with doubt and suspicion, due to the fact that Steeves disappeared at the height of the Cold War with the Soviet Union. Because of heightened skepticism, the fact that his jet was never found led people to believe that Steeves may have actually sold his jet to Russia. These conspiracy theories were only squashed in 1977, when a Boy Scouts troop found the canopy of the T-33 Training Jet. However, to this day, the plane's wreckage has never been actually found. But perhaps one of the most chilling Nevada Triangle disappearances is the story of Hawthorn Nevada Airlines Flight 708, nicknamed the Gambler's Special. This plane regularly traveled from Long Beach to Burbank and then to Hawthorn, always filled to the brim with passengers looking to try their luck gambling. On February 18, 1969, though, the aircraft disappeared, along with its 32 passengers and 3 crew members on board. For 6 months, crews attempted to rescue the lost Gambler Special in one of the largest air-ground searches in the West. The subsequent rescue efforts proved to be deadly and saw 5 more people dying, but the wreckage was finally found lying at Mount Whitney, the highest in the Sierra Nevada mountain range. However, investigators were unable to determine the exact reason why the plane had crashed, having found no evidence of neither lethal damage to its exterior nor mechanical or electrical malfunctions. Inexplicably, it seemed to have simply crashed. 42 years later, a hiker exploring the exact site of the crash found a tube of lipstick, a flight attendant's jacket, shiny coins that seemed to be from a slot machine, and mascara that was surprisingly still wet inside. These were the only things that remained of the unfortunate Hawthorn Nevada Airlines Flight 708. While these are just some of the most famous disappearances in the Nevada Triangle, there are countless other incidents that are no less tragic. One of them includes the story of Lieutenant Leonard C. Lydon, who, in 1941, flew his Army fighter squadron over the area's towering mountains. He managed to parachute out of the aircraft and saw exactly where it went down as he landed in the remote Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks. Despite his testimony, not to mention his pinpointing of the exact location of the crash, no wreckage has ever been found. It's as if the plane simply vanished into thin air, swallowed up whole by the sinister and mysterious Nevada Triangle. In a similar vein, Charles Ogle and his plane have also never been uncovered. The wealthy real estate developer had taken off from Oakland, California in August 1964 and disappeared hours into the flight. He had been a trained pilot with the United States Marine Corps, which immediately ruled out a lack of either skill or experience as the cause behind the purported plane crash. But since the wreckage has not been found, no exact answers can be given. Naturally, there are many ideas as to why thousands of aircrafts, all of them manned by trained pilots with years of experience under their belts, have disappeared while flying over, within, or near the Nevada Triangle. As could be expected, the most popular conspiracy theory involves Area 51, the secret government facility that sits along the area's eastern edge. In 2019, Area 51 made waves across the world when a comedic internet meme called Storm Area 51 took off and saw hundreds of people showing up at its entrance. They were met with resistance and none were able to make it inside. Still, many believe that the presence of the site is the reason why so many planes crash and disappear, seemingly without valid cause. According to the United States Air Force, Area 51 has been used since 1955 as a site where experimental weapons and aircrafts are developed, created, and tested. But there are also allegations that within the facility lies debris found on a ranch near Roswell, New Mexico in mid-1947, nicknamed the Roswell UFO Incident. A supposed glimpse of a flying disc or a flying saucer had sparked the nation's interest, but the military had assuaged the public's fears, claiming that it had merely been a weather balloon. The allegations, though, have many believing that Area 51 is actually being used to study and communicate with extraterrestrials. Rumors that are exacerbated by the tight security surrounding the perimeter and secrecy. These locked and loaded guards are said to take down any civilian aircraft that gets too close for comfort, causing thousands of planes to mysteriously disappear or crash in the Nevada Triangle. More importantly, those who swear by this conspiracy theory point to the fact that the incidents of vanishing aircraft started happening around the same time that Area 51 first started its operations. Another popular theory, one that may seem far-fetched at first glimpse, makes use of Albert Einstein's idea that space and time are woven together, which creates a four-dimensional fabric known as space-time. This theory has been largely proven by a recent study conducted by NASA, which determined that the space-time vortex surrounding the Earth is constantly warped and distorted due to the planet's spinning motion. In fact, theorists have concluded that rifts regularly appear in the Earth's space-time, causing small portals to open up in some parts of the world, such as the Bermuda and Nevada Triangles. While no proof of either rifts or portals exists, this theory is undoubtedly fascinating and relatively logical, to say the least. More serious theories include simple pilot error. The Sierra Nevada mountain region is undeniably beautiful, with its towering and awe-inspiring peaks. However, they're notoriously challenging to navigate, thanks to their varied terrain, pop-up storm systems, and heavy turbulence experienced by aircraft flying over the area. Even experienced pilots could find themselves disoriented. These issues would be even trickier for pilots with little to no mountain flying experience, and it wouldn't be a stretch to assume that they became overwhelmed by the wide range of problems they suddenly found themselves facing. Because of this, it's safe to say that pilot error could be the reason behind the Nevada Triangle's abundance of plane crashes and disappearances. Still, another theory is mountain waves, a term that refers to the natural phenomenon caused by fast-moving winds off the Pacific Ocean that frequently push through the steep sides of the Sierra Nevada mountain range. These downdrafts are incredibly strong and forceful, sort of like a roller coaster ride for aircraft, and pose an extreme hazard to pilots. To quote Professor Kelly Redmond, a climatologist with the Desert Research Institute in Reno, "When the winds are coming up, they come up kind of smoothly on the west side, and then they have this very rapid descent, and there's a tremendous amount of turbulence that can be caused by such situations. Light planes, in particular, are at risk of smashing into the terrain below, overpowered by the overwhelming force of mountain waves." According to Professor Redmond, it's quite easy for a small plane to get caught in the downdraft on the downwind side and not have the power or just the capability to get out of the way of that. He further compares experiencing mountain waves to getting caught in the cascading waters of the Niagara Falls. Surely, even experienced and highly skilled pilots would find such a scenario difficult to safely maneuver. This is the reason why pilots are encouraged, even required, to maintain a high enough altitude above the Nevada terrain, providing a buffer in case downdrafts and mountain waves occur. More than that, though, the phenomena of mountain waves have caused many areas of the Sierra Nevada region to be deemed completely unflyable, even on clear weather days. But what about the fact that many of the crash sites have never been located? Or that planes flying in the Nevada Triangle have simply vanished into thin air, leaving no wreckage behind? Well, many point to the Triangle's complex, rugged, and mountainous terrain, brought about by its proximity to the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Because of this, the area is extremely difficult to explore and investigate, made worse by the overlying vegetation that covers nearly every inch of the ground. However, it's important to note that 8 other crash sites were uncovered during the search for Steve Fawcett and his missing plane. It's highly probable that the thousands of aircraft wreckages that haven't been found are out there somewhere, yet to be discovered, hidden in the shadows of the peaks and valleys of the Nevada Triangle's complicated and hostile terrain. Despite theories that range from the logical and scientifically proven to the downright outlandish, the Nevada Triangle is still largely considered to be an endless source of fascination. Countless discussions and theories have popped up on the internet's plentiful online forums, with many debating as to what exactly has caused more than 2,000 planes to drop out of the sky without valid cause or reason, and often with fatal results. While arguments and debates still rage on about the probability of portals, extraterrestrials, simple human error, and the natural phenomena of mountain waves, the fact remains that thousands have lost their lives to the perplexing secrets of the Nevada Triangle, and we may never know exactly what caused each mysterious crash.